Thank you.
Mrs. Nyambuti, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Madam.
Caroline Kituko, a member of the panel.
Thank you.
Good morning, Joyce. Adam Solo, a member of the selection panel.
Thank you, Prof.
Good afternoon, Dr.
Good afternoon.
My name is Nicodemus Bore. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Madam.
My name is Fatuma Ali Saman, a member of the panel. Please feel welcome.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Dr. Nyabuti.
Good afternoon, Madam.
Karibu sana. My name is 𝐊𝐞𝐿 and I'm a member of the panel.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Dr. Joyce Nyabuti. My name is Evans Misati. I'm a member of this selection panel, and we welcome you to this interaction session.
Thank you.
Now we will come to you and ask that you briefly, in 5 minutes or so, introduce yourself, highlight your career profile and those significant milestones that are important for us to note. Let us know if you are a recipient of any award or honors, and if you belong to any professional society or group. Please proceed, Madam Joyce. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Chair and honorable members. My name is Joyce 𝐶𝐞 Nyabuti from Nyamira County. I am a human resource management and development expert of over 34 years of professional experience in human resource management matters, transformative leadership, and governance. Chair, I have my academic background. I have a Bachelor of Arts degree from UON, a master's degree from Catholic University, a PhD from Kabarak University, or majoring in human resource management. I hold 2 diplomas, one in human resource management and in strategic security studies from UON. Chair, I also have a professional certificate in human resource audit from the Royal Institute of, from RIPA, the Royal Institute of Public Administration in London. And I have numerous training courses, which I may not mention all of them, in management and leadership, of which I trained in a strategic leadership course from the Kenya School of Government. And while I was at the National Intelligence Service, I also underwent a leadership training. And while as a commissioner, I underwent an ethics and leadership training program. I am a career public servant, I would say that. I've worked in several MDAs, but my last assignment, I was a commissioner at the Public Service Commission from the year 2019 to January this year, 2025. At the commission, particularly assigned to me, we used to work in committees, and I belonged to 3 different committees where I provided with the HR policies and advisory and oversight. I was the chair of the Terms and Conditions of Service of the Public Service Commission, where I oversaw and actually did the development of various HR policies. To mention a few, the Human Resource Management Manual, the disciplinary control, and also provided various advisory to the MDAs. And in particular, I handled over 26,000 officers in various MDAs in terms of competitive promotion, and over 36,000 for
what are MDAs?
ministries, departments, and agencies.
Okay, please.
Over 36,000 under succession management. It was realized that in the public service there is a gap, and we had to carry out that. I also had an assignment. I was a member of the transformation Public Service Transformation Committee. And that's why I'm saying that I've been involved in transformation leadership, where we oversee the performance management in the MDS and also worked towards having an efficient and effective service in terms of service delivery and ensuring that our clients, who are the citizens, are happy with the services. So what I did in particular is that we came up with the performance management frameworks to enable guide how the public servants can perform. Among them, it involves the performance management framework, including performance contracting, setting performance targets, and the KPA, key performance indicators, and having M&E and how we should follow on that. I was also a member of the CQA, we call it Compliance and Quality Assurance, in which we developed, the 6 years I was there, each year we improved the report, which we were giving annually, which we were giving it to the president and parliament. It was a report on the status of compliance of the values and principles of public service. So we were following and monitoring whether the MDAs, the ministries, departments, and agencies are doing what is expected of them according to Article 10 and 232 of the Constitution. Chair. The other assignments, Chair, that I handled as a commissioner, I chaired.
Do you want to go to another commission you have been or another place you've been? We have heard about PSC.
Okay.
I'll quickly go to another
I
one,
will go
please.
to another one,
Yeah.
but briefly, Chair, if you allow me, that I chaired many panels while at the commission. That one, when we recruited the principal secretaries, and we also I handled various assignments of vice chancellors, deputy vice chancellors from various universities, even listening to chancellors of universities. We're not calling it an interview, it was an interactive session. And Chair, sorry, allow me also to say that I'd been nominated to several selection panels. Prior to being a commissioner at the Public Service Commission Chair, I worked as a deputy director, human resource management at the National Intelligence Service, where I also oversaw the development of strategic HR policy framework, like the performance management system, which enabled them to be able to meet their targets, and the human resource information management system. I was also a trainer, an instructor at the National Intelligence Academy. So I'm a trainer also, even by training. I was also the editor-in-chief of a journal. Actually, I was the pioneer editor-in-chief of a journal at the National Intelligence Academy. And Chair, to finish, I also worked in various now MDS. I worked at the Public Service Commission Secretariat. Actually, before I went to National Intelligence Service, the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Agriculture and Development then, and the Ministry of Cooperative Development. And so, as I finish, I am a member of the Institute of Human Resource Management, and I've been awarded the Moran of the Pan Spear. Thank you.
Okay. Have you also been a member of NGC or another commission or any other?
Yes, I've been a member of the Employment and Labor Relations Court. That's a member of the Employment and Labor Relations Court from the year 2020 to date.
Linda, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Dr. Joyce Kemunto Nyabuti, you have a wealth of experience. It's exemplary. I'm excited. At the same time, I would want you to tell this panel what's different, what skills, what competencies, what exposure and experience are you bringing to the table as an IEBC commissioner, looking at the environment at which IEBC conducts its business. Skills, competencies, exposure, experience.
Thank you, madam. I could wish that if I'm appointed a member of the IPC, I will bring the issue of the transformative leadership, which means this is about innovation, creativity, and automation of activities in the commission. Thinking out of the box, bringing out new things. I know there is automation at the IPC, but we could take it to another level. Come up with a policy to enable the seamless that is in the cycle, in the electoral cycle, from the voter registration to the final one. We do the results transmission. What new thing can we bring? Can I come with? And in this, I have this skill of transformative leadership. Madam, I could also come up with the skill of corporate governance. And this I did at the Public Service Commission. How do we do it? You can come up with the service charter. At the Public Service Commission, we used to have a charter for the Secretariat and the board charter. The board charter enabled us to, well, at the IPC, there were issues of, there was a lift of the commissioners. We saw that. So if we have a board charter, it enables members of the board to have consultation, consensus, when we are handling decisions. That's another skill, is actually decision making, which is transparent. And all of us, if we are discussing an issue and you can't agree, then you can defer and call for a special meeting so that you can be able to agree on this. Another skill is interpersonal skills and teamwork. This by training, even this is what I facilitate when I have an opportunity to give topical issues to students. I will come up with programs of having trainings, even team building among the commissioners, because we will be commissioners from various backgrounds. If you have team building sessions, maybe even out of the office, you understand somebody you didn't know, and then you are able to tell or have the cohesion. That's another skill I can come with. Another skill, or I don't know whether it can fall under competences. I'm very good in organization structure. That's organization design. If I'm appointed and the chair of the commission allows me to prepare, to review the organization structure of IEBC. At the PSC, I chaired a commission of 3 commissioners. We were given an assignment of reviewing the PSC structure. We reviewed it, and it's currently on force. That is what I could say a legacy I left from there. It is a very progressive and motivating structure. And when the structure is good, the staff, it impacts on the staff, it motivates the staff, and at the same time, the staff are able to perform and produce. And then I'm sure we'll impact on our stakeholders at EACC and work on this issue of trust and confidence in the public. And while on that, then another skill is communication, communication skills and information sharing. And we used to do this at the commission. If there is an issue you see you counter it before it gets to the by having timely communication of sharing information to the public. How do we do it? You can do it in the media, print media. It can be in the website. If you go to the PSC website, now I can assume at the IEPC, you are able to see some information. And by so doing, we are improving our public trust or public image, I will call it, and through the confidence from the public. I say there are many.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Those are enough.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. I invite Caroline to ask some questions. Ms. Kituko, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Ms. Nyambuti, I need clarity. You said you're a member of the Employment and Labor Relations Court.
The committee. There's a committee where I am a member, and I was appointed by virtue of being a commissioner at the Public Service Commission, so that we could look at employment matters. And in particular, what we did, we were
No,
able to do.
I just need clarity because I had court, like court, and court is for judges. So I got a bit confused. The committee, where is it? Under which organ of the state is it under? The committee under the Labor Relations Court.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you for that. I just needed clarity. So, it is the mandate of the IBC to undertake boundaries delimitation. What are some of the key principles that, should you become successful to be a member of the IBC, that you should follow through to ensure and to meet the legal requirement that promotes fair representation in the exercise of boundaries delimitation?
Thank you, madam. Boundary delimitation is one of the functions of the IEBC, and if I become a commissioner, we will get out fast because there is no more time left, and come up with what I could call an implementation matrix. That is a plan of action on what needs to be done fast with the time frame. If it's a matrix, we'll have the strategy we'll have in place, the activities involved, who is responsible, the resources in terms of human resource, finance also, and then what are the expected outputs and the expected output. In a boundary delimitation, madam, we need to carry out the data from the ground. Are there some of the constituencies where we need to have change of name, change of the numbers, so that we have already the data to be able to.
Okay. So the law, particularly the constitution, has put in place certain legal requirements that must be applied by IBC whenever it is carrying out boundaries delimitation. So this is to ensure that there is fair representation and they adhere to the constitutional provisions. What are some of these mechanisms or these things that the law has put in place that IBC ought to take into account when doing boundaries delimitation exercise?
The total number of, that is the population census, by the number of constituencies, which we have 290 of them. Then you have to look at the infrastructure. That is the infrastructure of that place. Is it a city grown? That is in terms of the market centers, the infrastructure generally, on whether they meet that requirement. Then you also have to look at I think also the issue of the culture of those people. What are their culture? Because it will imply or it will impact on the boundary delimitation. Yes.
Okay. What is the place or what is the role of public participation in the boundaries delimitation process?
Thank you for that. Yes, public participation is very key. You have to involve the citizens and those ones at the ground to be able to participate so that they don't bring any issues. And this is a requirement by law, by the way, according to Article 232. You have to carry out the public participation so that all of us inclusive are included when the boundary delimitation is eventually done. The process is a process from collection of data to the approval in Parliament.
Lastly, what is the role of the court in the process of boundaries delimitation? Do you see how the court gets involved? Can you explain to us how?
Yes, we have there will be disputes. There are likely to be disputes when we are dealing with the boundary delimitation. So the courts will listen to those petitions and hope that they facilitate, they move faster. So there are likely to be disputes, and that's why we need to do civic education so that the people on the ground understand why the boundary delimitation is being done, and even the stakeholder engagement, so that all that involved understand.
Thank you so much. I wish you well. Over to you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to invite Madam 𝐶𝐞 to ask you some questions. 𝐶𝐞, please.
Thank you, Chair. Dr. Nyabuti, please tell the panel and the audience watching you from home 5 challenges that can occur, or challenges to election day activities.
Thank you, Madam. Yeah, there are likely to be actually very many challenges to occur during there is election violence. There will be groups out to come out with that. There will be intimidation from the interested parties. There could be from the political class, from the political parties. It could be intimidation of the voters to influence them to vote in a certain pattern. There will be a problem of double registration on that particular day. Another challenge which is likely to occur during the voting is that a voter can go to the location to vote. Then maybe he realizes that he or she, the name is not there. Then this will bring up an issue. It will actually bring up an issue on the same. Then it more or less related to the double. Some will be double registration. Some will go there and find their names are not there for various reasons. Maybe they were not eligible. They were not eligible to be registered, but they have come to the center to vote.
I'm asking not for challenges to registration. I'm asking challenges to election day activities, the things that happen during the day of elections, not during registration.
Okay. I don't need to repeat what I said. Another challenge could be technology. The technology can either fail or the issues of technology in transmission of the results, or when a voter wants to vote and it can't be identified. There is that identification whether you are eligible to vote. Yeah. Then the issues of
Thank you, Daktari. If you are successful, how will you handle this? How will you prevent these challenges from occurring on the election day?
Yes, one, I mentioned like the issues of intimidation, bribery. As a commissioner, what I'll do, training. We need to do a lot of training just before the election day. Also, the issues of civic education, so that we can make the voters aware that they have a right to vote and they have a right to register. And that they can understand that if you have a right to vote and you have already registered properly, you don't need to be influenced or intimidated on that particular day. You already know how you are going to vote. In fact, another challenge I could mention that while on that same one, we usually find old people going to vote on that particular day. Some of them who are illiterate. Then you will find there are people on the ground who mislead them. So to be able to counter this is that training. And for the old people, the kind of training we can do is how to reach them. We can do it in the media, vernacular radio stations, so that they get the information. Technology. As for Yeah, as for technology, what we could do, Madam, is to come up with a policy that will make technology transparent and understood. And I think we can also allow demonstration, just demonstration, of course, to the officials, so that when they are on the ground guiding the voters, they are doing the right thing.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Nyabuti, and thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I would like to ask FCPA Tanui to ask you some questions. FCPA, please.
Thank you, Chair. And mine, it's on governance issues and appreciating the fact that Public Service Commission is one of the oldest commissions in this country. I think it is one of those surviving commissions from 1963 Constitution. In terms of independence of commissions, I'm looking at to what extent is PSC and by extension IEBC independent?
Thank you, CPA. Independence, that's a very key. Independence, constitutional commissions are expected to be independent according by law. It is spelled out in the Constitution. This is whereby you carry out the business of the board without external interference. Of course, there would be interference. How do you manage it? So the way of managing, and this is what I can bring to the IPC, is to develop codes of conduct, very clear, such that when you are in the board as a commissioner, you know what you are guided by that code of conduct. Actually, there is a board charter. And each time adherence to the rule. When you're doing an issue, you refer to a particular article and what you are expected to do. And then you'll be able to manage your independence. The other one is in terms of decision making. Decision making should be transparent and clear. If there is a member, maybe in the board who is differing, then
and as you continue answering,
yes.
I want you to reflect on the judgment by the court
yes.
on the appointment of chief administrative secretaries. You remember the CSS
yes.
that you had that had been appointed through interviewed by PSC, and talk of those interferences, code of conduct, in as far as the mandate of a commission like PSC, and now that be replicated if you are to become a commissioner at IEBC.
Thank you. If I can refer to the one you have just mentioned, the CAS. Actually, as a commissioner, while at the PSC, we stuck to the rule. And it was very clear. We had carried out public participation. And when we communicated, we actually communicated that it was allowed that 23 of the CSS, that is the Chief Administrative Secretary, could be appointed. So each time we referred to the rule. And even when you are making communications to the appointing authority, it is detailed and it is clear. You know there is somewhere where it ends. The commission has to do up to this level, and the other level, there's another level handling. So we did everything possible. Public participation was done, and those jobs were created, and the number was clear, I think 23.
So what lessons, I want you to draw lessons from your experience at PSC. Now, if you move into IEBC, what controls, what measures will you put in place to ensure there is independence? And as you do that also, you refer to measures will you put in place to ensure there is independence? And as you do that also, you refer to your engagement between PSC and SRC in terms of governance. There's been back and forth between SRC and PSC in terms of who should do what, who should not do what. similar to PSC versus 𝐶𝐞, who should do what in terms of independence of these constitutional commissions. And even, and you told us you are the chair of, there's a committee
Terms and conditions.
terms and conditions.
Yes, yes.
Even the structure, you told us you did the structure of PSC. You are responsible for that structure. And I do remember you did a structure, you advertised to fill those positions, and you canceled the advert. There were some deputy commission secretaries. Yeah, and appreciating your role and your background and your experience in these certificates. So those experiences that you've gone through, how will it help you if you are to become a commissioner at IEBC?
Thank you. Maybe I will, in brief, I could mention what I could bring along to ensure independence at the IEBC. And I think I briefly already mentioned in the outgoing. One is to come up with a code of conduct which is clear on the do's and don'ts of the board. It's to be able to deal with the consultation and consensus when deals with decision making. And when you do your decisions, the decisions should be transparent and clear. If there is a dissenting member, you can record that. I think we used to have a conflict of a register of conflict of interest, so you can record that. And also, even these soft sports skills like team building, going out, it used to work around. And in fact, in terms of consultation and consensus, and I think I mentioned if there's need, you can defer an issue you are not agreeing to a special meeting and only have a meeting of commissioners, because at times, meetings, you do have the secretariat. The commissioners are on, you discuss and agree on various issues. Let me go to what you mentioned. Yes, I see that I handled the structure and I'm very proud of it. It is on. You see, the commission, the PSC is independent. So the structure you can do. What you need to raise with SRC is in terms of the salaries now, if there is any salary increment. But we did it in such a way that it fell in place with the salary structures which were there. Actually, what happened is that the structure was elongated to a short, making people not to be able to be promoted. So that is when you go to the SRC. And I like the way you said, yes, we used to have PSC and SRC, but it is very clear. PSC is in the constitution and the mandate of the PSC. The PSC deals with the terms and conditions of service of public service. And it advises on their salaries and allowances. Then SRC goes ahead and sets without consultation. One time they said allowances, and we said, you didn't consult. You need to have a consultation with the PSC and agree. What SRC does is that it sets salaries for state officers. It is very clear that one is their mandate. But for public servants, it is a sole mandate of the PSC to deal with the terms, and the terms are wide. It is from salaries, allowances, to how even the facilities that you have in place. So we used to be guided by the law, adherence to the law, and referring to each time. Of course, we used to have consultation. We could have meetings with them most of the time, and they would agree. Then the last one you mentioned about the structure with the 𝐶𝐞. In fact, twice the court told PSC, this is your job. The first time they told us, like, you have been sleeping on the job. It's not supposed to be done by 𝐶𝐞. And maybe that's the reason why the one you are saying was cancelled. When you do structures, they have to be approved by the PSC because it's their mandate to do that. They develop structures for MDS, ministries, departments, and agencies, and even develop career guidelines, all the HR instruments. We have 4 different HR instruments. The structure, the career guidelines, and advice, they come also up with the salary scales, because they have the skills there. You have the salary scale, but now this scale, you write to SRC for approval. We also don't interfere with their mandate. We recommend so that they can agree.
So in terms of independence, you didn't receive any call that I want so-and-so to be shortlisted for PS, so-and-so to be shortlisted for principal secretary, vice chancellor. No such calls were
No
there
such calls, no such calls. In fact, I chaired one of our permanent secretaries. I chaired a committee. You know, we were 9, including the chair. And so we had several boards. I chaired one of the boards. We ensured every board has 2 commissioners and senior officers of the commission so that we can, there's a lot of work there. So that we could.
Why I'm asking that question, you know what happened in transpired or what happened at Bomas?
Yes, yes.
The pressure that commissioners go through when they want to declare results.
Yes, yes.
And therefore, we want to establish whether your experience at Public Service Commission will be of any help as you transition. Now, another area, sorry, Chair, I may take long. She's a practitioner as a commissioner. Now, one of the findings of the IEBC in their post-election evaluation report is that staff of IEBC faced a lot of harassment, threats, and logistical challenges during the election period, including tragic incidents involving returning officers. So using your experience as a HR practitioner and having, because you've been an HR practitioner all your life, and also your tenure as a commissioner, what staff welfare and protection mechanism would you recommend to enhance the security and the welfare of IEBC staff? Thank you.
In terms of welfare, that's a very good one. In terms of welfare, we can come up with a policy of how the staff, I don't want them to be involved in the harassment and all that, but it happens. And if it happens, what do? This is an officer. When you see an officer, when you see a file, it has several people behind. There's the wife or the husband and children. So that we have a welfare policy to be able to have these officers compensated. Security. Security is very key for the staff. It's very unfortunate if they go to the field and they are attacked. So as a commissioner, I would wish that it's what we call the multi-agents. We form a multi-agents task force when it is about time to go for elections, where we team up with the officers from various security agencies. So that rather than going around, we should get the various security agencies, the police, the KDF, if need be, and then IS, so that they are a team, and then other private ones. You know, at the local, we have village heads, so that they can be able to manage this violence. And also, we also involve the NGAO, the national government officers on the ground. And on the ground, you know, we also have Nyumba Kumi. We involve everybody because they will be at the location level. But to be able to manage this, we can develop a policy guideline at all those various stages. We have the leader of Nyumba Kumi, we have the village elder, then we have the sub-chief, we have the chief, and the ACCs, that is the assistant commissioner. Yes, so to ensure that when the IEBC officers on the ground are safe, and if anything happens to them, they are answerable. And this can only be covered in a policy.
Now, just to pick up, sorry for this, to pick up on the use of 𝐿𝐞, the DCC. Now, will that compromise the independence of the commission? Because they will be seen to be using the national administration to undertake their mandate, and which is part of government, and yet you are supposed to be independent as a commission?
Thank you. I don't mean that they will be on the ground as such. This is the planning process for the elections. When you know elections will be carried out on a particular day, these multi-agents, they will come together and come up with modules or scenarios on how this should be. It actually should be on the background. They are not the ones to be on the ground. They should come up with strategies on how to manage this.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. And I wish you all the best.
Okay, thank you, Bwana Misati.
Thanks so much, Chair. Dr. Choice, I want to ask you a question related to Section 88, Article 88 of the Constitution. The role of the IEBC has several mandates. But I want you to say among the roles that IEBC is mandated to do, just mention 2 items that IEBC can do before the 2027 general election, and 2 of the roles that they cannot do between now and 2027.
What IEBC needs to do before the next general election is there are some matter of urgency to start with the stakeholder engagement. Look for, we have state and non-state actors as our stakeholders. So we come up with a strategy or a policy framework to guide on how we start the stakeholder engagement just before the elections. That is in terms of civic education, voter registration. I think all the facets of the election cycle, so that they can be able to understand. And we can do this is what I like saying, like clinics. They can hold clinics from the grassroots. Those are the forums, from the location to the county to the region and the cascade all the way. What else can also be done is technology. Maybe we could come up with a policy. I know technology is there. There is a policy, is to review it so that this technology can be transparent to avoid having blame of technology at the end of it when the votes have been cast, transmitted, and tallied. Now we can't agree and we are blaming technology. I think that's something as a commissioner should be able to do.
Anything that you think that is within their role that they cannot do between now because of any other circumstances or timeline or anything?
Yeah, one could be, I think, the boundary delimitation. But there is something they can do. You get there, you can do what you are able to do within that time frame. But according to the law, you see that's been caught up with time.
Thanks so much, Dr. Choice, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to ask Fatuma to ask some questions, please.
Thank you, Chair. Dr. Nyabuti. Yeah, have I pronounced it properly? Nyabuti. Okay. And Dr. we've seen how the lack of voter and civic education has disenfranchised communities, particularly those in the rural areas and those from marginalized areas, or rather far to reach areas. And how would you design and implement a national voter education strategy that reaches to all this and takes care of their interests, all segments of the society, and that focuses also on what actually would interest them? Yeah.
Thank you, Madam. In terms of further education, that is in actually training. How do we reach those who need to, actually it's everybody, all citizens need to be educated in terms of what education, civic education.
But with a particular focus, to
Yes.
these people who are in the rural areas, very marginalized. You know why they are peculiar from everybody else?
Yes.
Some of them do not know English language or Kiswahili.
Yes.
Then you would have situations where majority of those people who provide help to organizations that do civic education might not give enough resources to these communities. So the things that are specific to them. And the scenario would be, if I give you the background, is that some are illiterate, some are politically unconscious, they are complacent with the situation.
True.
And they can't even make informed decisions. So even if you are to talk of public participation, it wouldn't be effective because they actually do not know what their rights are,
True.
what voting means, and all that. So I'm talking about a specific type of people, not every Kenyan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Madam. What we could do as IPC commissioners is to develop programs or even training materials, and do this by radio transmission. And in particular, you can go to the vernacular radio stations and maybe increase the time of airtime. When is that time these illiterate people, in those communities, like sitting around the fireplace and the radio is there, then we target those ones. We can also target having parasas and use the roko, those that they listen to. You know, some cultures, not anybody can talk to to anybody. I think I've experienced that. They would say you are a woman, and yet you have information you want to pass. So you get the village elders, the opinion readers, and give them the materials. Maybe sensitize them to go and sensitize, and empower them. Empower those who are able to go and meet them to be able to get this information. And it also, as I've already mentioned, it touches on culture, their way of life. But if you go to them the way they would want, they will listen. And this will be very key so that we are able to tell them their rights, that they have their right to also come and vote. So they are from the marginalized groups, people in far-flung places in this country. We also have the marginalized in terms of, we also have people living with disabilities. And at times, I don't know why women are also grouped among those ones. So how do we, and children who are able to vote, of course, who are eligible to vote, how we get them. And thinking out of the box, madam, I could wish that going forward, if I'm a commissioner, we introduce a program in schools, in school, so that people are taught on the importance of going to vote, on the importance of their rights to vote. Yes.
I like the fact that you kept on saying the way they like, according to their culture, who they listen to. What does that mean? Before voter education content is developed, what does that mean? If you are to understand how they think, how they do things, who they prefer, what is it that the commission needs to do before coming up with the content?
We carry out research. We go and do research, cut data, analyze, and in fact, you can do messaging. A small message targeting them, and in their vernacular or Kiswahili, if they are getting Kiswahili. Then it will be the message in the village.
Thank you very much. I think sometimes one size fits all has been the disadvantage to this community. So thank you very much for that, and I wish you well, Dr.
Thank you very much. I invite Bore to also ask some questions, please. Bore.
Madam Daktari, the Election Act and the IEBC Act emphasizes accountability in electoral management. In your various roles that you played in this government, describe a decision you made in leadership role that was unpopular but very necessary, and how you ensure transparency. How did you ensure transparency, and how did you handle the backlash, if there was? Yes, that was very unpopular.
Thank you, Nicodemus. Yes, I think I have a leadership challenge that I handled. And this was, I said I have skills in public sector reforms. It was a reform program that I handled. That is, and it relates to change, actually change management. I was the champion, and that is in terms of performance management system. And it was very, very unpopular. I've handled the reform from late 1990s, I think even to current. And you see, in performance management, we were coming up with programs where officers were supposed to be accountable of the work they are doing. We are setting performance targets and we're setting the key performance indicators. And they were not comfortable. It's like this program is going to take our work from our core business. So how I managed this is that I was the champion of it, and I referred to the HR instruments and documents that it is necessary to have accountability of the work you are doing by being able to measure. You know, someone say that the work I do, you can't measure. There's no work which cannot be measured. If we are not measuring it, then you are not doing it. How we managed is that we came up with the core. In every department, there were the task people who were championing this idea of reform. And we realized that in reforms, you have to start from the top. You get the buy-in from the top, then you cascade down. I think that was the greatest leadership challenge I could say I encountered. And at the end of the day, when they agreed to the reform program, to date, they say this is very good, the performance management systems.
So with that experience in mind, how would you improve the trust deficit of at the IEBC?
One is to improve the trust deficit, which is raw, is to communication, is to have timely communication of information. Sorry if I might even now then mix. You know, when there is no much information on the ground and people have a lot of misinformation and disinformation and they're talking ill about the IPC, we need to counter, to be reactive, to be proactive, sorry. You need to be very proactive and have timely transmission of information. The other one is to ensure that we are transparent in the decisions that we make, even in the technology. I think I've already mentioned this. How do you get transparent? Is to come up with a code of conducts. One for the board, which has do's and don'ts, and one even for the secretariat. They also have what we call service charters, which will guide on what they are able to do. And if the citizens know what we are doing, then we will be increasing our level of confidence. In fact, what we say even generally in the public service, like in the Public Service Commission, the vision is that we want to be a citizen-centric public service. What does that mean? That mwananchi, who are our citizens, are the first client that we have. And whenever you are delivering a service, do it to your excellence. And actually, we have managed that through the Huduma centers. I one time was doing a benchmarking in Australia and we went to such a center and the center is busy and their centers are online. People are reporting, that is, they're giving appeals where they are not satisfied on a service. And there are others coming up with strategies on how to improve on that service. I think it's high time that we also reached there. Another one, which allow me to say that one, which as if I become a commissioner, is that I would wish to introduce, and that's what usually I'm passionate about, nationalism. The servants or the officers, the staff who will be working at the IEBC Commission should be able to to have that the issue of patriotism, nationalism. What do I mean? Do we have a character as a country? Then how would I do it? I will come up with training. And this training, I usually mention it in 3 words, and it's something I'm usually passionate about, that you indoctrinate, indoctrinate, and indoctrinate in terms of the patriotism. And this you can do it by taking the officers for training. Let's say at the Kenya School of Government. Why do they, when we recruit police officers, you know, they change into that culture. So we need to have a culture also, a performance culture. Then we have that one, it will translate, will improve our confidence with the public.
Daktari, and all the best.
Thank you. I invite our professor to ask some questions, please, Prof.
Thank you, Joyce. You're moving from the Public Service Commission and you want to become a commissioner in IEBC. Many people say that public service is nearly a status quo within the government arrangement. There's a lot of status quo. Change comes very slowly. You have applied to join an independent commission which operates in an environment that there is rapid changes. Like we have new demographic groups that need to get in the voter register. You have new digital platforms in the age of technology that might have to be used. And you have a more enlightened society that might seek to be engaged. Based on your experience from the Public Service Commission, how, in your vision, will you help guide the IEBC to stay ahead of new emerging trends in the electoral environment?
Thank you, Prof. Allow me just to comment. You mentioned that the PSC is in the status quo.
Handles the public service. Maybe let me clarify what I meant. I can see exactly where you're going.
No,
handles the public service, which is more of a bureaucracy that has more of status quo than rapid changes. That's what I meant.
Yeah. Thank you, Prof. I understood you. I only wanted to mention that even at the Public Service Commission, they had been faced with these demographics. The youth, they really want to know more and more. And we did this by very fast. We take information to the PSC website and portal so that they can know what is going on. And they ask very many questions. And one of it, there was this famous program of the Public Service Internship Program, which focusing on the youth. But let me go to your question. Yeah, we have these demographic groups, you call them digital. And from the description of what the changes that you mentioned at the IPC, more or less are focusing on the youth. So as an IEBC commissioner, what I'll do is that we'll come up with programs that will focus more the youth. Of course, one is training, and we could have this training online. You know, the youth are not the ones you will bring up to get a meet in Naivasha and have a very fast chat. We come with the online programs where they are found and be able to, because more often than not, they are very, they are not very key into going to vote. But if we get the information on their rights to vote, they'll be able to do this. Then how will we explore this change? Is that we go where they are found. They are in the X space, they are in the TikTok, they are in WhatsApp, Facebook, and we will see how many are following us. And if we find there are many, we can also arrange, a one-on-one, empowerment in terms of training is also very key, apart from just only the online where they like. And Prof, I am a change agent. I believe on change. And here you are talking about change in terms of all these the demographic groups and all that. And we will be able, I've mentioned more about the youth. There will also there is also about the women, the disabled, and how do we get them to be registered. So we go to where they are.
Thank you very much. My last question in this segment is the Elections Act and the IEBC Act emphasize accountability in electoral management. Describe a decision, if there is one, that you made in a leadership role that was unpopular but necessary. How did you ensure transparency? And how did you handle the backlash? If at all, if there isn't, I'll go to the next question.
I have been in the leadership space.
Okay.
I think one I could mention very quickly, and it turned out to be even a good one, is when we were appointed as commissioners at the Public Service Commission, we realized that the budget was very low. Actually, it was at 1 billion. And here, we said we will handle the budget as commissioners, and we took it up. So what we did is that we personally even handled the strategic plan, because from the strategic plan, we came up with thematic areas where this budget needs to grow. And then we were able to lobby and explain this to Parliament. And we did this, I can say I did it because we were doing it from our various committees. There is one I was chairing. I was in 3 different committees, and you could come with the thematic areas. And one of the areas where this budget grew is this one of compliance and quality assurance, where we report the status of compliance of values and principles of public service. Actually, it's an ongoing process which starts in January by collecting data. No, first you train, you collect the data, you analyze, do the report, and disseminate. And so by so doing, we are trying to promote the values in this Article 10 and 232. So the budget actually grew to 3 billion as I'm talking. And one other area we focused is the youth. This public service internship program, we were actually given 1 billion. It was not an easy decision to do, but it worked.
Thank you, Chair.
Prof, do you have some extra questions?
Sure. Joyce, as you introduce yourself, among the services that you have given this country, I think you highlighted your role in the Public Service Commission as one of the highlights of your career.
Yes.
And therefore, one would say that one of your areas of expertise is in public service.
Yes.
What was the title given to the equivalent of a head of public service before the title head of public service gained current usage? What title was used for that person who was the head of public service?
Thank you, Prof. Chief Secretary. And Simon Nyachai was the first.
And who was the first chief secretary? But that's just a by the way.
Thank you, thank you.
Just simply because you called me Nyachai. That's why I was.
Okay.
Which was the first country in Africa?
Sorry?
Which was the first country in Africa to gain independence?
Ghana.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nyabuti. It's been a great pleasure listening to you and talking to you. I suspect that the public has also learned quite a lot. I'd like to give you 1 minute for any comment or question, whatever you want to say, as we come to the end of this interview.
Chair, I don't have a question, but I have a comment. I want to take this opportunity to thank you so much so with your team for having shortlisted me to this position of Commissioner IEBC. I look forward, hope to be successful and be able to contribute and be able to contribute in, I don't want to go back to the questions, to the free, fair, and credible elections that all Kenyans are yearning for. That's what I look forward to. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Blessings to you. Your certificates are at the door. The notebook is yours. And the pen, you may also pick the water if you so wish. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Asante. Thank you. Please, let's get the next candidate.